What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be doing some pruning on my orchard trees my way. This is how I do it. In my opinion, like, for me at least, there's a lot of deer here, and I don't want to have to put up like a fence, because if you look at this, all right here, like that's gonna be my orchard, and going up over in that direction is my orchard, and so that's a lot of fence to put up, so I don't want to put a fence up and spend a bunch of money. So I'm going to be having basically this, like the lead branch or whatever, this I'm just going to basically prune all the way up here because I want the branches to be up higher. So basically the deer won't be able to eat all of like the fruit and stuff off of it. It just makes it a lot better because, like, you can see right here, the deer have been chewing on the ends off this even though it's inside a fence. So that's why I'm gonna be pruning it this way. I don't care if I have to use a ladder. Like, I'm sure not, this is not like for everybody. Like, if you don't have deer problem, it's probably not for you. You're trimming for your fruit trees. But if you do have deer problem, I recommend making your branches up higher off the ground, so then the deer have a little less of a chance to chew off the apples or leaves or whatever. But yeah. I just recently got these pruners and they're really nice. Like, before I would just use those big pruners, the ones you have to use for both your hands. They work fine. They're just, these I can fit through the fence without hurting myself. I might leave these branches on it because they're not too low off the ground. Not sure, we'll figure that out. I can always come back and chop those off, but this should theoretically help and make so I don't have to have this fence around it as long once the branches get bigger and stuff. So yeah. And what I used for the plastic around the tree, it's just like some, don't know what kind of pipe it is, some pipe we had around our property. A lot of people say it's not good, but I'm gonna make it longer because the mice and rabbits and stuff, they really will get in here and chew the bark off your trees, and that kills it over the winter. Because when the snow's on the ground and there's no like grass or whatever, any vegetation that's edible, they just eat the bark off of trees. I know they're bad out here because whenever I trim these, I always will leave them out here and they'll just be shaved off the bark. Like, there'll just be no bark on them. Looks like a beaver got a hold of them basically. This one is a semi-dwarf gala apple. Basically, the place I got all of my apple trees from and stuff, Costco. They got really cheap stuff. Unless, like, compared to going to like Amazon or North 40 or Home Depot, they have the best prices. They're like 19 bucks for fruit trees like anything. Unless you want like there's like the ones that they multiple varieties. I don't like those. I can do those myself, just grafting. So this is one I basically had to take all the branches off because they were all like really low to the ground. So you can see that I just basically took everything off. Those ones I'm gonna leave some of the branches on lower because they're pretty low to the ground anyways. Like, not low, they're pretty high off the ground. So this one is a semi-dwarf ambrosia apple. So haven't had any fruit off of them. Probably will get some next year. A lot of them actually, believe it or not, they all tried to fruit this year. But I didn't want them to, and so I took the flowers off because they're just planted this year. So I would put a fence up. It's a lot of money for all that fencing, and then you got to get a bunch of fence posts and you got to put them all in, and just not very easy, especially for how big of an area it is. And since I could just do this and have better fruit production just by pruning all the lower branches, and I'll be able to take this thing off because if you leave the lower branches on anyways, they'll just grow out and become too big for the cages they're in. And I would like to have the cages off in like a few years. So that's my hope, at least. I'll be able to take the cages off. This one is a Granny Smith apple, semi-dwarf. Basically, I think you can only get semi-dwarf from anywhere, really. I don't think many stores sell like the full sized ones. So I really want to get the biggest ones, and I'm actually trying to grow a bunch of my own. Like from our trees, we have a bunch of apple trees that were just here when we moved here. So that is pretty nice, that I can just go and use our own apples and grow them. And I have like 50 trees, like little apple trees right now. Probably will graft next year. They're not big enough this year, but they'll probably be next year. I'll do a video on it and when I do it, so you guys can see. It'll be my first time, but I've seen a lot of people do it and it looks decently easy. See? That's what I'm talking about, the deer poop. They'll get in here and they'll try to eat all the leaves off. Basically, they'll just kill your tree or stunt it. Most of the time it's just stunting the tree, and then it's not really good for it because it'll just take even longer for it to grow and be healthy and stuff. So I don't really do any weeding around these because there's no point. They're like, I'm gonna have these like a natural, they can grow on their own, but eventually I water them with like a water tank. but that's about it. I want them to be able to go and find taproot and go find water somewhere underground. Become fully self-reliant. And then I just have to come out and collect the fruit whenever it's ready. That's my goal. So